hustle is like truly grinding out. It's very unorthodox work that it's a 1099 style scenario. It has a very sporadic pay scale. It has very sporadic hours. And if you're really trying to make extra money, you are literally out there all hours of the night, all hours of the day, all on the weekends, whenever you're off, out there grinding at the stone, trying to make extra money outside of your regular full-time job. You might have a fixed schedule in the morning with your 9 to 5, and then all the rest of the time that you're not at work, you're out there in the streets trying to make you some money. Side hustles used to be the terminology for the drug dealers that was out there selling drugs, and they called that putting in work. Now, side hustle is a terminology that identifies anything that's not a standard 9 to 5 job with a standard schedule with a specific employer. A side hustle is any type of gig where you, as the person, get paid job by job, person by person, to ultimately develop your standard of living. Um, he says, if something you do makes you money, make it into a cookie cutter. Uh, I guess I think the dynamic is that you have to really filter out some of the things that you're doing to make money, because some things take more effort to get a dollar than others. It's like the difference between investing in a $300 per share stock that's giving you $1 per share versus investing in a $3 per share stock that gives you 5 cents a share. If you can buy 500 shares and get $5 off of 300 shares of a $3 stock versus getting $1 off of $300 for one share of stock, you're getting 5 times more for the same quantity of money. Likewise, with your side jobs, your gigs and your hustles, it should be the same thing, that you should be doing less work for the money and getting 5 times more money off of the work when you balance your work against other work. You should never be in a situation where you're breaking your back and your blood, sweat, and tears all over the place with everything that you do, because you're going to end up burning out. You can only do so much. And that's one of the reasons why I try to find things that can operate in the background while you're operating on your 9 to 5. So when you come home and go to sleep, outside of waking up several hours later and checking for customer complaints, you can literally go through the um, um, the site that you set up and look at the market and then adjust to whatever changes needs to be made after you got you some rest. Because typically anything that you do online's got like a 24 to 48 hour turnaround, and if you don't get an appropriate response, then you start saying, hey, what's going on? But that also means that if you went to work today and then you went to bed tonight, then you wake up in the middle of the night, then you first thing you do when you wake up is check and see what's going on with your customer complaints. And then if you have any, you can address them as soon as you get off from work before you go to bed the next time. And you're still able to work 2 jobs, but you're not working as hard. Steven says, one day when I get more time to myself, I'm going to get a few side hustles. Well, I can tell you right now, Steve, the mentality you have is phenomenal. However, you are working what I understand is a full-time job and then going to school. Now, going to school is a full-time job. At that school, at college, your goal is to network into the kind of job that you want. So you should be talking to alumni. You should be talking to mentors. You should be talking to professors. You don't just go to college to sit in the classroom and study and then walk out of the room. You want to utilize the full accessibility of that campus and talk to people in places that you have never been in, and network and really get out there, really expand your exposure so that you can get everything that you need to be successful. Now, if you find the kind of job that you want, that is paying the quantity of salary that you want, you don't need to have several side hustles. In order for you to have on your mindset that you're going to have several side hustles, you're going to have in your mindset that you don't have the kind of job that covers the standard of living that you have. Now, granted, you can have a hobby that you can turn into a side hustle that you can master so that you have a second income coming in that is automated, so that your primary income, if anything happens to it, does not become the only source of income that you have. But if you are assuming you have 5 or 7 operating on the side plus your primary thing, each side hustle typically takes 10 to 20 hours out of your week for part-time. And if you're talking about a few is more than two. And that means that if you're doing 10 or 20 hours a week off of three different side hustles, you're looking at putting in 30 to 90 hours of work outside of your regular 40-hour job. That's probably working you right now 55 hours. I know you sound like the kind of person that's putting in that extra 15 hours of overtime whenever possible. So that means that between your 60 hours between three side hustles and your 55 hours with your primary job, you're burning almost 90 hours a week or more, 110 hours a week. You barely got enough time to sleep. It's better, instead of being the jack of all trades, to just master one thing. So you've got your primary source of income that's always coming in. And while you're going to college, in between classes, while you're not studying, when you're talking to the hot chicks on campus or going to the frat parties or whatever, or even if you're sitting there having lunch in the cafeteria or the main socialization area, you should be researching a side hustle that you could be doing right now, so that you can put that into action while you're in college. And then by the time you get out of college, because I figure you're going to be in college for another 2 or 3 years, by the time you get out of college, whatever it is that you're doing during college should be paying for itself by the time you get out of college. Then your primary job hopefully should change, and your side hustle should ultimately improve to the magnitude where you can be going to work because you want to, or you could quit that whole career path and just focus on that expanded side hustle that has now become a standalone business. It becomes a standalone business once the money you're making off of that side job meets or exceeds your primary income. At any point in time, when you start deciding to build up a side hustle, you can establish, for I think it costs around $300 to get you a tax identification number now. Back in the day, it used to be free, but now it costs money. You get your tax identification number now, and then set you up a business, and then you just put your side hustle underneath that business, and any expenses that you put into that business, whatever that little side hustle, hobby, whatever it is, that's a tax deduction towards your W-2 work. And if it becomes successful, that's a second income. And that's the whole expectation. Now, any extra money that you're getting off of the second job, if you decide to operate a side business and a primary work scenario, could put you in a position to double down on your money, so that by the time you reach a certain part where this gets to be too much, you've already built up a large nest egg of savings. Then you are double back from working two jobs to only working one. And when you go back to working one, now you're falling back on the nest egg and the one good job that you love to do, which I would assume would be the one that gives you the more free time. And then you're still preparing yourself for the day when you can quit working altogether, where you don't have to do anything but roll out of bed and count your money. Now, once you've gotten that plan put together, your mindset is not going to be having a few side hustles. Your mindset is going to be about having one thing that works, that pays for everything else. But once we get you there, then you're going to be ripped and ready to go. Okay, so I think we've got the internet fluctuating right now. So give me just a second to get this back up, because Michael had a comment and I missed his comment. All right.
Jesus. There we go. All right. Now, where was Michael's comment? Michael, I missed your comment. I was trying to get your comment up there, and that's when everything had to shut down on me. You were saying something about one time. There was this one time at band camp. Because you're probably, I think you're on the shorts reel, and I think everybody else is commenting from the other one. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna try to get your comment. Then we're gonna move on with the information. He said, Cameron, just checking in. Hey, Cameron, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, buddy. We're about to start talking about different ways that we can make money outside of the way we normally make money. Dang, and then it don't have. Oh, there it is. He says, side hustles is doing painting. So please tell me what you like in a painting. I'm reading this upside down, y'all, because that fake bookshelf got me going. I'm gonna punch you in the jaw, Michael. You're doing too much. I could have left that off. Michael be playing games. You're the only one that can get away with that, Michael. Not too many times, though. All right, let's go ahead and get in here. I'm going to try to see. Man, I should have had my laptop stand up here. Not my laptop stand, my cell phone stand. I was sitting over here thinking that this computer was going to work well. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so hotspot went off, and it's got to switch over to the internet. I forgot about that. Okay. No worries. Because I'm sitting over here wondering what happened. We got like 6 bars. All right, we're going to get started. Look, it switched over, but it switched over to the one that I don't like using. It got to switch over to the one that's right next to me. And okay, so we've got hey man, loving the channel so far. You've got some really interesting takes. It's so inspiring to see in okay. I don't think that is good, but okay, so I appreciate you liking the show with a good compliment, but I'm gonna go ahead and block you because the rest of it was wrong. Because I don't like you devaluing LGBTQ people, because those guys have their own thing and I respect what they got going on, even though I don't affiliate with it. But, you know, I'm not going to allow you to bash them on my show either. I don't think that that's appropriate at all. So I'm going to ask that any individuals that's got comments on the show, please make sure that you put your stuff up there widely appropriate. So let's go ahead. Michael jumped in. Yay. I know, Michael, I appreciate you. We're getting through the internet just refreshed. Hold my finger. Oh no, I think we got it now. We got the internet just refreshed. Should have been using your finger. You sitting over here talking about some it needs to work out. What's that guy or chick or whatever, Vaseni or whatever, came in and made the comment. You should have been the first one. I'm sitting over here wondering where you at. You were supposed to be running the show.
I'm gonna put this
up here and see if we're gonna get better internet.
All right. So, and then I'll be prepared for just in case this goes down sideways a second time. All right. Now, what if your empty garage could be making you money while you are at your 9-to-5 job? For those of you that got a garage, or for those of you that got some parking space in your yard, because I know that over by the Ray J Stadium, there are a lot of people who have parking space in their front yard, and they will sell parking space during the game, during the Bucks games and during the baseball games. They sell parking spaces to people who, so they make a little bit of money by leasing this out during the games. But think about it, not just by just, throwing it out there for a little bit of pocket change, but like a steady and passive income. And what if getting paid to play with a dog wasn't just a 10-year-old's dream that could actually pay your bills? So we've all seen the myths of free money, click a button, watch an ad, fill out a survey, and become a millionaire. And it's a persistent, annoying lie. And frankly, I'm tired of it. So I went looking for the next best thing, not free money, but money for almost zero efforts. He said a desk size. Hold on, everything froze up on me again.
Add to stage. All right. So put me in there. Put me in the ring, coach. And there I am. It says participants. It says I'm in there. Let me know if you can see me, guys. I'm trying to see. Oh, there. Nope. Catching up. I strongly apologize for the fact that it is not going the way we wanted it to go for today. I think they decided to go ahead and maintenance this damn tower again. Oh, okay, there I am. All right, I'm going to try to lean on this because this is getting on my damn nerves. All right, so let me go ahead and take this one out. All right, there. Oh, wait, no, let's do it this one. Let's mute that one. Because the thing just kicked off again. I'm just gonna give up on them. They're not doing right. They ain't doing right by me. The browser keeps kicking off. I didn't do my web searches today to figure out what was going on with that, but I'm still able to see the comments in the comment section. So we're just gonna run through it from the cell phone side of things. It is what it is. All right, so what I'm talking about tonight is I'm not talking about like building a huge online business or gambling your savings on some new trend, right? What you say, John? Show on stage. John Forgetti, Center Field, released in 1985. Oh, that's our new book for today. John Forgetti. Okay. Star your comment. I like your comment. First time you gave me one that was good today. All right. I'm going to be talking about, using things that you already have so that you don't got to spend a lot of money on startup. That will accompany you with a little bit of free time, maybe a spare room, or even just your love for animals. And we're going to recognize that for the past few months, I've been on this mission, testing low effort side hustles to see what really works, and tracking earnings and analyzing the work involved, and definitely tried to separate the hype from the reality. So now I'm going to show you exactly what I've discovered so far. And today's going to be really shaky because we don't have a lot of stuff going on with this thing going on. Play Faith by LinkedIn. Oh, Play Faint by LinkedIn. No, that's okay. That's not what we do here. But I appreciate you. Oh, Lincoln Park. I thought he said LinkedIn. I'm trying to look at like, what is that? Not Playing Faint by LinkedIn. Michael, you're not doing your job today. I got to multitask. So we're going to explore two very different yet surprisingly profitable worlds of the professional side of pet sitting and the almost absurdly passive income that you can get from renting out things you possibly don't ever think about. So I'm going to share the exact platform that I use to go over some of the mistakes that was observed and the real numbers for what we could possibly earn with something like this. So forget the free money fantasy and let's talk about some smart money real quick. It's all going to start with a simple question. Can you really get someone to pay you to have a dog sleep in an apartment? In your apartment specifically. Or to use your dusty, cluttered garage, right? These are the options that we're looking at. The whole promise of sharing economy is that you can monetize just about anything. But is it actually true, though? I've been a little bit skeptical over the years, but the internet is going to be a graveyard of abandoned side hustles and broken promises. Still, the idea of earning money while you sleep is too tempting to just ignore. So, set aside a few goals, finding out which of these low effort side hustles could bring in real income without becoming a second full-time job with second quantities of full-time effort. So this isn't going to be a get rich quick scheme. It is a get smarter with your resources scheme, and first experiments will begin with a waggling tail. So let's start with honesty. The term gig economy, air quotes, I was throwing up air quotes there, gig economy has a bit of a bad rap. So for a lot of people, it means low pay, constant pressure, and scrambling for the next job. You hear stories of people working 60 hours a week across 3 different apps just to get by. And that's why I was telling you, Stephen, it's not a good look to say, my goal is to get 3 or a few. Your goal is to get one really good one. Now, a lot of the information that happens about these things is true. And it can get to be a grind, especially when you have a lot of productivity and you're getting paid by the job. You're getting paid by the transaction. So if you're sitting a dog, the more dogs you sit, the more money you make. If you are renting out your garage, the more cars you have in your garage, the more money you make. If you are scaling in any way, shape, or form, whatever task you're doing, the more frequently you have to do that task, the more money you make. And if you're doing it by the hour, if you're doing it by the day, the more things you can get done in one day, the more money you make, which puts you in a position where you're working 10, 20 hours a day because the money is unstoppable. You know, to earn $2,000 per day having a garage sale, but use a friend to run the sale while you're out buying from other garage and estate sales. Okay. I mean, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. The upside is that you're making $2,000 a day. The downside is that you're also spending. The upside is that if you can both split the money and make $200 to $500 a person, even if you're spending $1,000 a day to bring in more inventory, you're still selling $2,000 a day and making $500 a day profit. However, it's still a grind. You're also looking at, regardless of how much money you are making right now versus how much money you are spending on getting more product, you still have to recognize that you have a pretty decent overflow of income, and then you still have to recoup what you bought already. So you're buying an inventory, and whatever hasn't sold is still sitting there in limbo, and whatever you're about to buy is liability that you're going to hold until it sells. So you have $10,000 worth of stuff that can be sold, and you're selling $2,000 of it every day, but you're spending $1,000 every day. You still have like a $10,000 overhead. It's still good. He says, use show on screen. Use estatesale.com for all the listings of sales in your area. Okay, that's something that you can try. That's a good side hustle. It takes a lot of effort, though, because it's something you have to know that the item has got value to it so that you can put in the effort to sell it. Got to spend money to make money. No, you don't. You really don't. Truth of the matter is that when it comes down to spending money, you have to spend money to buy the things you don't have to make money, but you can make money off of putting in a lot of effort and not spending any money. Because I have found a lot of no, there's overhead. You're assuming that there's no overhead. The overhead is the 1 to 20 things that you have for sale until they're sold. There is an overhead. If you buy one Big Ben clock for $100, until it is sold, you are in debt $100. Doesn't matter if you sell it for $2,000. What matters is until it's sold, you are in the hole $100. So whatever you buy from the auction, from the day you buy it until the day you sell it, that is your overhead. Your overhead might be small, but you still have an overhead. It doesn't matter if you're taking your profits and after you've split the money and you're taking your profits and you're going back and reinvesting and buy something else to sell. Out of the $2,000, if you take $1,000 out and go and buy some other stuff, you are still out that $1,000 until those items are sold. So while you're making more money than you're spending, you still have an overhead. Okay? It's just an overhead that turns a profit, but you still have an overhead. Okay, so I understand that your profit margin is huge, but you still have an overhead. So you got to understand, just getting the cliff notes of the highlights of things is not the whole story. I didn't see that last comment. Get the cliff notes of the whole story. So you got to make sure we got to understand that. Hidden inside this world of side hustles is an on-demand service or niches that play by different rules than others. And they aren't about how many tasks that you can cram into an hour. They're about providing a specific valuable service that requires minimal active work for long periods of time, right? So think about the difference between a delivery driver and a pet sitter. Now, a driver's income is tied directly to the number of trips that they make. More drives, more money. It's an active minute-by-minute hustle. A pet sitter, though, gets paid for a period of responsibility. Sure, there are active parts: walking, feeding, playing, cleaning up poop. Okay, hold on a second. But a huge chunk of the time, especially with overnight stays, you're getting paid just to be there, right? So in these situations, you can work a job in the daytime remotely, watch movies, read a book, or, like I do, work on this very script and all while you got a furry client snoozing on your rug off to the side, minding his own business. And that is the key. It's not zero effort, but the effort comes in small, enjoyable bursts, while the pay covers a much larger block of time. Now, Michael says that's not an inventory. That's not an overhead. That's an inventory. But an inventory is an overhead. If a restaurant has $20,000 worth of food that is going to be utilized to serve the customers, it doesn't matter if all of the food gets sold every month. From the day they bought it until the day the customers buy it from them, they have $20,000 worth of overhead. If they have to maintain an inventory that is valued at $20,000, that is a $20,000 overhead. If you use any electricity for fans or ice water or lighting, if you're selling stuff at night, that's electricity. That's part of your overhead. The gas, that you use to go to all of these estate sales and buy the product in person. That's part of the overhead. The car insurance, the vehicle repairs to get over there and pick the stuff up. That's part of the overhead. Any cost to ship it back to your house, whether you got to pick it up yourself, you and your buddy with a flatbed truck, you and your buddy with a dolly, or you and your buddy with a trailer, that's overhead. The manpower that it takes to get this stuff done, that is overhead. You splitting the profits with your buddy, that is payment, which is labor costs, which is overhead. While your overhead is not large, you still have an overhead. You be trying to tell a story a certain way, Michael, and I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it the way it's supposed to go. He's an ATM machine. Well, yeah, some people can become ATM machines if you're doing it right. If you're a nurse, hire yourself out for a home care or hire yourself out for home care and maybe 1 to 2 days per week. Oh, I'm going to tell you, fantastic information right there. And I'm going to cover that on next Tuesday's show because I want to do a whole skit on that, like a whole topic on that. What you just described, I'm going to put it back up there. He said, if you are a nurse, hire yourself out for home care, maybe 1 to 2 days per week. Now, I'm going to tell you that is identified as a concierge nurse, an at-home nurse. You can get all the appropriate licensing to do what you do, and then you can subcontract yourself to be an in-home nurse. You do not have to affiliate yourself with a major corporation. You do have to have your insurances just in case you do something malpractice level, but you can door to door and get paid by the hour. If you've each patient that you have, that you might spend 1 to 3 days a week with each patient, but you've got 3 to 5 patients a week, you've got a full schedule. And if each one of them is paying you $25 or $30 an hour or $35 or $45 or $50 an hour, when you start thinking about paying for convenience, you might get paid $50 an hour to go to people's house, give them their medication, feed them. If you're an at-home nurse, you might have to give them baths and stuff to that effect, get them dressed up, especially people with cerebral palsy, and bring them to where they have to go, their doctor's appointments and stuff. And just being an in-home nurse, you would be getting paid by the hour to roll with somebody instead of having to always go out there and go hunt. Yeah, still an overhead until I saw the truth. Yeah, I know. Both come out to the same result, money. Well, the difference is that any overhead that you have in December that hasn't gotten sold in December can be counted as a monetary loss for the tax year of December. And so it does matter how it comes out. If you buy the stuff this morning and you sold it this afternoon, it's not there, but you turned a profit. But if you bought it last week and it's still there this week and it gets sold this week, it was there for 7 days. If you bought something on the 25th and it hasn't gotten sold yet and it's the 5th, then that means that it could have rolled over December 31st, and it is part of the inventory for 2026 because it hasn't gotten sold yet, but it is part of the liabilities that is tax deducted from 2025 because you bought it and hadn't sold it yet. And that's why I was explaining to you the difference, because I know you know, but not a lot of people do. And that's why I was trying to make that observation so that people understand that. Now, this realization of how we can be getting paid in different ways without having to grind is, in a way, something that we need to focus on and we need to pay attention to. Okay, he says, oh, well, Michael, you were not putting in work. You got me using all my fingers today, Michael. I could have gave that guy the middle finger, but I don't want you two to be waving their finger at me. Because I got paid to go to nursing homes and do D-cup care on patients, and I charge $300 per hour. Sweet. That's why I told you I had to do the research, because I don't know how much you would get paid off of that, but I know that if you're doing it in nursing homes, And if you're also doing it at people's homes, that you can charge a lot more money than getting paid minimum wage or like $10 or $15 over minimum wage to do it for a big corporation. When you're subcontracted, you can get paid a lot more money for the same quantity of hours. And so I want to cover concierge nurse and subcontracting yourself as a nurse. And I'm going to put that aside for next week's show, because I think that's a fantastic thing for the people in the medical field who are tired of working in the hospital and not getting their fair share. If you're working 4 days on and 3 days off, you can find yourself picking up an extra 1 or 2 days doing concierge work, and then kind of transition into doing that permanently, where you can go from working 4 days a week at the hospital, getting your 40 hours in, to working 4 days a week for yourself and making way more money. So I want to talk about that next week. Now, back to the main thing. We figured out that you're not looking at another job to drain your energy. You're actually looking at an income stream that can fold into the life that you have with the least amount of friction possible. And that's one of the things that we want to work on when we're talking about these two side hustles. Now, the final push is going to be discovering platforms that handle all of the annoying stuff like marketing, payments, and even insurance, and a lot of things. Apps like Rover or Wag act like a personal agent for you. They find clients and secure payments and provide a safety net with liability coverage. Now, the difficulty with getting things like Rover and Wag is that you got to go through all these financial background checks, personal background checks, and all of this other stuff to make sure that you are clear in order to do these transactions. But once you get started, you'll be able to pick up animals from anywhere and start setting them down. So all you have to do is build a profile and then be a decent human being to all the animals and the animals' owners. The initial setup is the biggest tasks, but as you see, even that is surprisingly manageable. Is it become a traveling nurse? Yeah, you could become a traveling nurse if you put all of your effort into getting all of the licensing that you need. One of the issues that's going to be hard about a traveling nurse is that the medical field and the legal field require you to have certifications in certain jurisdictions for certain things. Real estate does the same thing. So if you're traveling to like 50 states or different countries or whatever the case may be, wherever your market area is, you have to look at whatever laws that are required for you as an agent to be able to handle that particular type of work without breaking any laws. So, because if you have the right to practice, you want to have the right to practice in every state that you plan on practicing. You do not want to be in a position where you're practicing without a license in a specific state. So you might have a license in your home state, but if you don't have a license, so say like if you get licensed to perform medicine or practice medicine in California, but then you take your international whatever and then you go to like Colorado. If you don't have the appropriate certifications in Colorado, then you have a problem. So if you're going to travel the state of California where you're certified in California and you're just going to have clients in different cities in the one state, you're good. But if you're going to be like California, Nevada, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, then you've got to make sure your certifications are valid in all of the states that you work in. That way you don't have any issues. Trying to avoid legal issues. Now, the world of easy money is a minefield, but when we start to look at the world of low effort, flexible work, that might actually be more realistic. So with a healthy dose of skepticism, we officially become part of this professional sitter scenario. And I've actually set up one of these before. It's actually pretty cool. It's just a lot of effort to get into. Now, your new career is going to begin on a Tuesday afternoon or something to that effect, because you're going to get everything set up over the weekend. And then you're going to get ready to work. It typically doesn't take that long to get you qualified. If you decide to start with Rover, one of the biggest names out there, you also have to scoop up WAG on the sidelines. And a local pet care group on Facebook, that'll help you out as well. This will get you started. Best side hustle is happy birthday. If you're good with pets, work on engines, do lawns, offer window cleaning, the list goes on and on. Yeah, but you got to remember, if you're doing these things by the task, the easiest one to get your hands on is dog sitting. A lot like babysitting. Just don't let the creature die. That's your only goal. Now, if you're like me and you've got dogs in your house, your dog has to be a friendly dog with other people's dogs, because your dog and their dog are going to be interacting with one another. And if your dog hurts their dog, or if their dog gets hurt running from your dog, that's going to be a situation where you're going to be liable for the medical treatment of their dog, which could go on to be very expensive. Special shout out to R for they got some people whose names are just racist. But this one's pretty interesting. R for I didn't see his other comment, but that's okay. So in these situations, you can drop in visits to feed the cat, or overnight stays at your place or at the owner's place, which can lead to you sitting at somebody else's place and you have you a nice place to stay. And this is going to create a solid profile that will allow you to make a bunch of money, which does not require a lot of effort, but that's going to be the first real effort. And to do it right, it's going to take you a solid hour or two, maybe more, to build the type of profile or platform that will attract real customers. And this is going to be your storefront. So you can't just skimp and put the least amount of information there. That's not going to work for you. You're going to have to upload about 10 photos or more. Some of you, some of a few friends' dogs, your dog, if you have one. You'd watch before with permission and shots of your apartment to show it was clean and pet friendly. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So the friends and their dogs, and if you have their permission to take photos of them and everything like that, you want to do that and put that stuff up on the platform here. This is chaotic because I'm over here with comment section, barely can see. It's like a thumbprint. How you doing, Carl? Man, I need to get this thing up and running the way it needs to be running. It's been messing me up all day. I need to do a virus scan because I don't want to be getting kicked out of my Zoom tomorrow. So the bio is going to be very crucial when you get started with it. You don't just write, I like dogs. You know, you got to talk about your experiences with animals, your flexible remote work schedules, framing yourself as a responsible person offering a premium service. That's going to be the first thing. Next up is going to be your pricing. Based on some quick research of other sitters in your area, you can price yourself competitively, but not too cheaply, because you don't want to signal low quality. Because actually, a lot like in real estate, you can determine that quality stops at a certain price, and anything below that price is not quality. It doesn't matter if it's a good deal or not. We've learned in our life that you pay for convenience and you pay for quality. So if you end up in a situation where if it's too cheap, it's not valuable, right? So set your price rate somewhere between $25 for 30 minutes for a walk, or $35 for drop-in visits, and $80 for a 24-hour overnight stay. And then if you go through those background checks, which costs a small fee but essential for building the trust in the company, 3 days later, your phone is buzzing. A request for a 30-minute walk with a golden retriever named Max allows you to spend just 10 minutes out there getting $25 Remember to like and subscribe. Yes, sir, definitely. Got to do that homework. You got to do the homework. You have to do the homework. You have to do your research, right? And then when you exchange a few messages, you'll end up with somebody asking you about an experience with a larger dog, and then that's going to lead you to the situation about Max and their quirks, which this stuff is going to be in the app. That's going to help you handle the payments and help you handle the backlog of positive referrals from people who have enjoyed the way you took care of their animal. So this removes the awkwardness of talking about how much money it is, because you put it up on the site. All they're going to do is talk to you about, these are the things that my dog likes, these are the things my dog doesn't like, and then you make ends meet. Now you got to remember that if you have your own pet, be it a dog, a cat, or something like that, look, special shout out to Stevie. He said, after you finish liking and subscribing, don't forget to turn on that notification button. Look, these are the champions. The champions of promoting the channel. Because the people that stay with it, y'all gonna find out that there's so many ways that we can make money, and some of them are easy to do, and we didn't think that it was that easy to do. And if we follow through with it, we'll find ourselves less broke. Now, the work itself, once you get all of that stuff up, is literally a walk in the park, literally, because you're taking a dog to a dog park, right? So if you show up, you got the rundown from the owner of how to interact with the dog, and you spend the next half hour strolling with the super friendly animal, because their animals have to be friendly. Then you send the owner a couple of photos during the walk, showing them that the dog is still alive, a small touch that goes a long way in this type of dynamic, but it also is evidence and proof that you are taking care of other people's dogs, which you can add to the catalog of your profile of success. Right? Now, when you drop off the dog back to the owner, you fill out the Rover card in the app, logging all of your routes and a short, friendly summary that explains what's going on, like time total invested, about 10 minutes of messaging, 20 minutes of travel, 30 minutes of walking. Your $25 was earned, which comes out to around $20 after the Rover fee. Not a fortune, but $20 for an hour of pleasant work. It felt like a huge win, right? More importantly, the owner is going to leave you a glowing 5-star review. That review is going to be gold for you, because it was the social proof that you needed to get the ball rolling. With one good review, the request starts coming in very steadily. But the real game changer is going to be your first overnight stay. A long weekend catching a corgi, or watching a corgi named Winston for $160. If you do a quick meet and greet with the owner beforehand, which is going to be a non-negotiable if you're trying to make sure that you know that what's good for you and a dog, you got to make sure that this dog is a good fit for you. You can't just take anybody's animal, because that's just not going to work out. Now, you get you a dog that's a pretty decent character, like a loaf of bread with legs and a little bit of an attitude, right? You go along with it just for the weekend, right? Find yourself with an animal that is surprisingly low key. The work involves like 3 20-minute walks a day and dishing out food. The rest of the time, mostly the dog is going to be sleeping while you work on your laptop, watching a movie, if I'm doing a podcast, whatever the case may be, and the weekend's going to fly by and you got paid $160 because the dog is in your house. Essentially, you're getting paid to live the life that you normally would have lived. It's just with a dog in the house that's not yours. Of course, you can't take off for 8 hours and leave the dog in the house by himself spontaneously. But for a homebody, it's barely an inconvenience. For somebody who's already at the house working off the computer on a regular basis, it's barely an inconvenience, and it allows for extra money coming in. Now, by the end of the first month, if you have earned just over $500 off of a handful of dogs that you would have been watching, you're getting a significantly larger income without doing a significantly larger quantity of work. Just actually a little bit more cardio in your week than what you would have done if you would have been trying to get outside and get some exercise yourself. Now, you're going to have a very little life-changing scenario because the money is going to pay for your car, groceries, a few dinners out. Or if you're going to do like I would do and take the money and invest it in brokerage accounts, increase your wealth, it's going to be a minimum disruption in your life, but it's going to be a very decent change. Now, understandably, if there's any damage, like the animal rips up your furniture or something to that effect, you can provide billing to the previous owner or to the owner of the animal, and they can refund you for the damages that were not reasonable. Like if the animal uses the bathroom on the floor and you're just going to clean it up, that's one thing. But if the animal used the bathroom on your couch and now you have to dry clean your couch, that's another thing. But if you took the animal for a freaking walk, it shouldn't be using the bathroom in your house. So you're basically taking a picture if he throws up on the couch, because everything else should be done outside. Now, remember, professionalism and consistency are what turned this from a one-off gig into a reliable income stream. Pet sitting isn't totally passive, but it is about as close as you can get in an active gig economy. After the pet sitting experiment, you find yourself hooked on something like this, but wonder what could you do that's even less work. Pet sitting still requires you to do some things. So what if you could make money from an asset instead of your time? That's when it hit me. Start at the most neglected space in your life, parking spaces. Living in an apartment with a dedicated underground parking spot, that's a good place to do it. But you don't own a car, but you have your own parking space. Oh, hold on. Michael got something. Buddy. Got to bounce him off. Michael said, average dog sitting rates generally range from $25 to $60 per visit for drop-ins and $60 to $100 per night for overnight. Right. So notice how I gave you average market prices when I told you $35, $25 to $35 starting off, and then $80 for the overnights. That's not the top end. And if you're just starting off and you're charging like $25 or $30 to get started, the more clientele that you get in, the more you can raise your price. But if you're getting $60 per visit to drop in and you have 5 visits that day, you know what I mean? You just made $300 to drive to 3 houses and feed some dogs and go back home, right? If you were doing $100 or even $60 and you had like 3 animals in the house, and that's $180 an animal per night, or $180 per night for the 3 animals. And if you had them for the weekend, you know what I mean? You just made like $600 for the weekend to keep 3 dogs from eating each other at the house if they're all friendly animals, right? It's a good gig based on location. Your experience is going to grow over time, but it is definitely a service type gig. So I definitely agree with all of those comments. You can be a doggy therapist. You can be the dog whisperer. That's actually a very good brand that you can have as a dog sitter. You can be the dog whisperer, right? Finding out what's going on with the dogs and giving them your undivided attention. Anybody who spends more time being lonely and less time feeling satisfied with the way their life is going, you could spend more time with a lot of other people's dogs and get paid to do it, which would benefit you financially, because a lot of the reasons why you have emotional distress is because you can't afford to have an extra person in the house and give you comfort. So get you a dog, get you somebody else's dog, have them pay you for it, and then, you know, just fill your calendar. You know what I mean? If you have a parking spot in an apartment complex, or if you have a garage that you can close the car in, or if you have a driveway that doesn't have a garage that the car can be parked in, or if you just have space in your yard that is enough for a car to sit in and your landlord's not going to care about it, or if you own your own house, you could just put the car there, cover it with a tarp so that nothing happens to it. You know, all of these things will work. So for years, if you have this patch of concrete that's somewhere around your house that you're paying rent for, if you're renting a property, you can discover that there's a whole world of apps for this, because in the United States, Spot Hero and Neighbor are popular. Neighbor calls itself the Airbnb of storage, letting you rent out a garage, attic, or even a closet. For parking, dedicated apps let you list your spot by the hour, by the day, or by the month. In Ukraine, you can find similar options on platforms like OLX and specialized apps like Park Me Up that are starting to emerge all over the place. So if you didn't know, you got a place to put your car, shoo. Say for example, you got a place to park in your parking lot, like reserve parking for yourself, your car. You can rent that space out to somebody else, put your parking permit on that car until they come and get that car. And you can get paid for these cars sitting in your parking space. Long as you've got the permit for the park there, they can utilize the space. You can utilize the space for any vehicle that's got your parking permit on it, right? Michael says, sometimes I take a new puppy that someone has and I raise them, and they go home at night to the owner. The dog gets exercised and trained by me. Oh, yeah, you could be a dog trainer. I didn't even think about that. That's actually fantastic and in line with us being able to make money for ourselves. Yeah, you could be a dog trainer. What's this button do? Oh, no, we don't want to do that. Ah! Just threw some stuff into the comment section. I ain't trying to. That was a referral for StreamYard. Now, to set up, it's going to be even faster than when you set up for Rover. So you want to pick a local classified site. You take 5 clear photos of the spot, different angles of the spot, so that people know what's going on with this spot, right? You want to showcase the security gate, any access to it, and then you want to write a simple description. You're pricing it like $100 a month. After checkout, after you check out some similar listings and seeing what else is out there in some big cities and in some single car spots, they might go for $300 to $400 a month. However, you can also do an entire process that's going to take you 20 minutes to set up, but you can also start doing, like, if you're near a stadium or a football field or something like that, you can have your parking being sold by the hour or by the game, so that you could probably get like $50 for them, $30 for them to park in front of your house just for this afternoon. And since you know that they're going to be taking up all your parking, you don't have to feel stressed out about it. And, then they're just going to come and get their cars later. You don't even have to hold their keys. They can park their car in your yard, and you're going to park your car somewhere else so that you can get out. And then they're going to take their keys with them. Then when they come back, get their car, to just come and get their car. After 20 minutes of setting up something like this, a week later, you might find yourself getting some emails. Someone who's working nearby is tired of the expensive street parking, because you'll find yourself spending $25 or $25 a day in downtown Tampa for parking. So if you live in downtown Tampa, they can pay you like $100 or $200 a month and be way cheaper than $25 a day for 5 days a week, where they're paying $125 a week to park downtown. It's crazy, right? So you can undercut the competition. You have the guy come over to check out the spot. They have the simple agreement. You can pull one offline. I can put one in the membership for you if you want one. And you use that outline, put it together. They're going to pay you for the first month. And in some situations, you can give them the garage remote, since you're giving them control of the garage to put their car in. However, what you would do in a situation like that is you would have different locks to enter your house from the garage. so they can't just turn the door and walk into your house because the garage is going to be easily accessible. And that's it. That's all you do. Now, your monthly effort for this income stream is now about 2 minutes long. And then you're going to get a bank transfer and you're going to send a quick thanks to the person every time you get paid. That's it. No walks, no feeding, just $100 or so into your account every month that the car is sitting in your garage or sitting in your yard somewhere. And that initial $20 or 20-minute setup is now going to be earning you upward of $1,200 a year. Now, this got me thinking, what else are we not using? So clear out some storage lockers in the basement, list them for $50 a month. And within 2 weeks, you got students renting that to store their books. The effort is going to be the same. A little cleaning, 20-minute ad, and a quick meeting to hand over the keys. People are doing this with all kinds of assets. On Hip Camp, people are renting their backyards to campers. On Peer Space, they rent interesting rooms for photo shoots. So those hoarders, where you like to theme a room for some stuff, you can rent that room out and make a bunch of money off of it. In Ukraine, services like Goodzilla even help you rent out anything from a power drill to a party tent. This taught me the most valuable lesson yet. If you look around, you will find the best money-making tools that you might already have as assets in your own home. So I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. So you might have 2 new income streams, because if you start off doing a professional dog cuddling, providing doggy therapy, and then you have a micro real estate monologue where you're renting out your properties, which one do you think is better? It's the one that fits your life and your goals the easiest. It's not about superiority. It's about convenience. So let's break down all of the information that we had through all of the browser failures that we had today. You have active versus passive streams. Pet sitting is going to be active. What was the other ones that Michael was talking about? Lawn care is active. Window cleaning is active. Yeah, a lot of them. Look, I'm trying to find. Oh, here goes another active one. Start your own pickup service for drunk people. They call you. You ride over on an electric bike, get their keys, and drive them home. Then you ride home 2 to 3 per night, $200 per ride. I think there's a company that's already doing that right now. I know there's a company that's doing that in Taipei. They have a company that's doing that. But that's actually becoming a thing. And yeah, there should be an app for that right now. But that's a good idea. If you're in an area where that app is not readily done, you could actually do that. And then you can advertise to the local bars instead of advertising to the local clients, because bars have a responsibility to cut off their clients when their clients are too drunk to drive. They're supposed to put in effort to not allow them to leave the bar intoxicated. And instead of them calling a cab, because a lot of clients would refuse to let their car stay at the bar, they can call you. You can show up. You take them home in their car, and then you ride off somewhere else. If you have an electric bicycle that you own, especially one of those electric bicycles that fold up, you can put your electric bicycle in their trunk, drive them to their house, and then you can take your electric bicycle and drive back. Now, the only downside is going to be, how far away from you do they live? Because if they're like 50, 60 miles away and your bike only goes 40 miles, you just drove to the bar, but now you got to drive back to the bar. You're going to have to charge this bike up. So you might have to get you an Uber ride. Whatever you're going to charge for these types of trips is going to have to be offset by the average cost it's going to take for you to get back to square one so that you can still turn a profit. Either way, you can still make a decent money doing that. That is true, but that is actually an active one as well. So we said the window cleaning, the pet sitting, now the drunk driving thing. I can't remember all the rest of them. However, passive ones, because when we finish doing the active ones where you trade your time and your energy for money, overnight stays are going to be passive. But waiting for the bar to get out, that's going to be active. Renting your parking spot, however, that's going to be an extreme end of passive, because you don't have to do anything other than make sure their car's parked in a place where it's not going to get damaged. After the setup, your involvement is effectively zero when they're renting out a parking space. So if you only have a goal that is to expend the least effort possible, renting out an asset is going to be the clear winner. Because like if you have a basement space that you can utilize, if you got campers, it doesn't matter what kind of campers they are, if they're homeless people or whatever, if they need a place to camp where they're not going to get arrested by the police and you're going to charge them to set up tents in the backyard, charge them to set up tents in the backyard. Whatever you got to do. Because the least you're getting paid for their presence there, and as long as they're going to keep paying you for their presence, you're good to go. But that's going to lead to earning potential money. So your parking spot might be a fixed $100 a month thing, but to make more, you need more spaces, which you might not have. Pet sitting, on the other hand, is a scalable thing. You can make $500 in your first month, but by month 3, with good reviews, you might be able to see yourself making $1,000. It also really depends. Passive income. It also really depends when you start talking about how many spaces you have and how much you're going to be, how much money you're going to be charging for the space, and if you have incentives to charge more money because of events. It's the money that works for itself is passive income. That's true, but a lot of people call any task that is paying you residual income is passive, but that's not true. It's residual money that works for itself. So when you buy a stock option and you leave it there and it pays you dividends, you don't have to do anything else. It is passive income. It's money that works for itself. Renting out a parking space is truly passive because it's money that works for itself. But taking a dog out for a walk, that's a little bit more active than it is passive. If you're an actor and you're getting residuals off of the sales of the movie, you still have to perform for that movie to get the money. And you might have had to put in 50 hours to get that movie done. And that after that 50 hours, you get paid for life. It's not passive income after that, it's residual. So once we identify the difference between passive and residual, you need to determine how much effort you want to put into your day-to-day practice to build that passive income or build that residual income, whichever one you decide. Because residual income, like real estate, you might buy a property, pay somebody else to fix it, they flip it. You go buy another property. That's not passive income because you have to go through the effort of negotiating and closing the deal to get the property. Then you have to wait for the contractors to finish fixing the property. Then you have to go through the effort of getting the property sold. And then you get the profit. Now, if you're a real estate investor, you give somebody else your money, they do all of that stuff, and then they pay you back with interest. That's passive because you didn't do anything. You just gave them money. So we once we recognize the difference between the two, then we can put a lot of effort into working on the ones that best fits us. If you find yourself as a top-rated sitter, then you can make thousands of dollars a month part-time raising dogs, which does not hurt your overhead. Yeah, both demand effort. They do. Passive income demands a little bit of effort, and residual income is going to require way more effort than passive income. Because, like, for example, the most effort that I would be putting into a brokerage account is continuously adding money to the shares that I've already collected. The most effort that I would put into a rental property is the repairs, the insurance, the taxation, the holding costs like HOAs or whatever the case may be, customer concerns. So if they don't like the neighborhood, or if they don't like another neighbor, if I have two properties next door to one another, then I got to choose which tenant I'm going to keep and all this stuff. So if they're late on their rent and stuff, so there's a little bit more effort in a buy and hold than what there is in a fix and flip. And there's more effort in a fix and flip than what there is in a brokerage account. So you have to decide, do you want to have that brick and mortar company that you have to show up and put more effort into, or do you want to have that passive, automated, it runs off of a computer, you don't need any effort to make money kind of gig? But once you start finding yourself with an overflow of customer base, that's when you can raise your rates because your reputation has grown. So it's going to be a classic trade-off. Renting space is low effort and low reward per asset, while pet sitting is going to be high effort and higher reward. Then there's the barrier to entry. Both are incredibly low. For pet sitting, you just need a phone and a love for animals. For renting your space, you need, well, space. So this is going to be the big divider. So if you live in a tiny apartment, this hustle is going to be a non-starter for you, meaning that you're not going to be able to get into it as easy as you thought. But if you have an empty garage, a spare room, or even a driveway, you have a valuable asset ready to go that you don't have to spend any money to start up. Finally, what about the risk? Both are going to be very low. Well, not as low as you might think. Thanks to the platforms that you're using that already exist, it's going to be lower than what it would have been if you assumed all of the risk. Because with the pet sitting, a dog could get sick or damaged in some situations. A thorough meet and greet helps, and the platforms like Rover are going to offer insurance for those scenarios. So while that little bit of money is coming out of the fees for you using a platform, if a dog gets damaged or like bubblegum stuck in their fur or something like that, there is insurance to take care of that. So there is a little bit of worry there, but not a lot. With renting a space, the risk is property related. So what if a renter stores something hazardous? You've got to deal with that because they're renting the space. Again, you have platforms that are going to offer some liability insurance and clear rental agreements that makes it clear that you're not going to allow certain hazardous and dangerous materials on your property. Now, the biggest annoyance is going to be dealing with flaky inquiries because you're going to have a lot of people asking about it but not really taking action on it. But once you find a good long-term renter, it's going to be a totally silent scenario. So which one do you think is better for you? If you love animals and have free time, especially if you work from home, pet sitting is fantastic. High potential hustle. If you're more of an introvert and you have unused space, you don't really want to deal with people or animals, renting out is a no-brainer because you're renting out your space for storage. You're not renting out your space for people, because if you don't like people, you don't want to rent out your space for roommates. You want to give them the ability to utilize some of your land to park their stuff on your property, and you make money off of the existence of your property. Personally, you can keep both because a parking spot is the baseline of positive income that requires no thought. And then something like that sitting is going to be your active earner that can ramp up when you save for something, or you can flex yourself in that when you don't have the time. He says, I delegate responsibility, freeing up more time for other things. Can't build an empire without the help of others. That is a fantastic mentality. I like the way you think, Michael. I do the same thing. Now, having these things together, you can find yourself with a very powerful, low effort financial engine. And then if you have online or remote work anywhere throughout your house, you have your primary income, which is whatever you're doing on a computer. You have your dog sitting thing, which is a second income. Then you have your parking spaces and storage facilities all over your property, which allows you with a third income. And then if you wanted to rent space in the backyard for campers, you got a fourth income. So when Steve was talking about at the beginning of the show that he wanted to do a few hustles on the side when he gets more time, now you got a few hustles. Because you're on campus a lot, you might not do the dog sitting thing, but you might actually rent out the space that you have in your backyard and in your basement and in your driveway so that you can make money without having to do anything. And then you can still work on your full-time job and you can still work on your education because you do not have to pay attention to the asset being on your property. You just have to collect payment because it is still on your property. Now, I'm curious, based on your life, which of these sounds more appealing to you? Are you on team pet sitter, ready to get paid for puppy cuddles? Or are you on team space renter, looking to turn your empty garage into a cash machine? Let me know in the comments below because I read every single one of them as you see. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into making smart money, do me a favor and take that opportunity. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscription button and then hit those notification buttons. I've got a lot more experience lined up and you won't want to miss what I test next because I'm going to be doing some research about that concierge nurse, that traveling nurse thing that Michael just talked about today. And we're going to talk about the ins and outs and the benefits of performing that as an income for next Tuesday's show. I will grab all of the platforms that I mentioned in today's show, and I'm going to be putting those into the membership so that you guys have access to it. So you guys can start your own journey today as soon as you take time to get into it. And I want to know, what is the takeaway? The dream of free money that is mostly a fantasy, or the dream of smart money, making a good income with minimal stress? Because that one is very real. It doesn't come from a magical button. It doesn't come from a scam or a pyramid scheme of any kind. It comes from looking at the resources that you already have, the time that you have access to, the house or property that you're involved in, and the stuff that you're willing to utilize for this. And then you ask yourself, how can this stuff work for me? My journey into this world is going to start with a lot of skepticism, but after I got into it, found out some real interesting things. And learning these things, you can find a way to get paid extremely well. And that's going to take care of the pets and turning something joyful into a real income stream at the same time. You also can learn that empty space, forgotten space around you can also be a very tangible value. So when a parking spot goes from a line item on your rent to your monthly assets that earns you money while you sleep, you start finding that you're actually benefiting from the things around you. He said, the book of the night, I Pencil by Leonard E. Reed from 1958. I tell you what, we're gonna make a habit of having a different book every night. I might have to go back through a lot of these shows and grab all of these books and make a list of them in the membership so that people can go and pick them up. He said, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. My mom used to always tell me that. She also used to tell me stay off the top rope when I was playing Raw versus SmackDown. And every time I got on the top rope, she would tell me I have no chance in hell. And then I would do that RVD frog smash off the top rope, and the dude would pick up his boot, and then and I'd be all frustrated because I'm like, she called it. So you guys got to understand that this isn't about quitting your primary job. It is about building financial buffers between your day-to-day operations, your week-to-week paychecks, and the expenses that you have in your life. So an extra $500 or $1,000 a month earned without much stress can change things, because it can be the end of living paycheck to paycheck. It can be funds for a passion project. It can be freedom to take a vacation without feeling guilty. It can be the tools that you use to build your early retirement. That extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month that you don't need, that you didn't have to put any effort to get into, you can utilize that to build up your brokerage account. If you're putting away $1,500 a month towards your brokerage account, that's $15,000 every 10 months. 30 months in, which is approximately 5 years, you know what I mean? You didn't put away like $45,000 plus interest. And that's not including whatever you would have originally put in there from your regular paycheck. The tools to do all of this work already exist, and that's going to remove most of the old barriers that prevented you from being financially successful before. So whether it's through the fun of pet sitting or the pure passivity of renting out a concrete slab, the opportunities are there for you. All you have to do is be willing to look for them. All right. Now, I know tonight was one of the roughest nights that we've had with the internet messing up and the browsers crashing. I completely understand. I really appreciate your patience with everything that we've been going through today. What we're going to be dealing with tomorrow, I'm going to be putting it up tomorrow afternoon. I might throw it up there later tonight because I want to get next Tuesday show up there before I forget. But I'm going to be getting our next country that we're going to be talking about for tomorrow night, and setting up all of the information that we need for next week. He said, you may find your side hustle is making more money than your regular job. So here's the thing. The reason why I'm encouraging everybody to find side hustles and consistent side gigs is for situations like the government shutdowns that we're experiencing right now. You can make more money, make money for you. And like you said, Michael, if you find a lot of these side hustles that are generating just as much, if not more money than what you're making off of your primary job, you can turn that into an LLC and make that a small business. Then you can put a little bit of money into advertising and you can expand on your availability. It just depends on certain things that are scalable, because it's harder for you to scale dog sitting than it is to all right, buddy, I see you playing chess. It's hard for you to scale up dog sitting than it is to scale up a storage facility. Because, like, for example, you might have some space for them to put some stuff in one of your apartments, but you might not have. Oh, okay. Let's do that. You might have a little bit of space to put some stuff into your basement, but you might not have enough space to store stuff for like 10 people. But if you have a storage facility that you build, because of the money that you're making from storing people's stuff, you might be able to start up a small-time storage facility that covers everybody's stuff. Because a storage unit, you can pay 1 to 3 people to manage that place. And then you can have like 200 units or 1,000 units, and all they're going to do is keep the place clean. One person's going to keep the place clean. One person's going to collect the money. The other person's going to cut the locks off of the gates when the people don't pay the bill, and you're good to go. Whole business that runs for itself. So there's always a side hustle that you can have where you can find yourself in a position where that hustle becomes a full-time job. But you also, if you're making more money off of the side hustle than what you would have been making off of that full-time job, you can find ways to scale it up in a fashion to where your side hustle can afford to pay for employees to do the work for you. So instead of you making $3,000 a day or $3,000 a month doing what you're doing, you might only make $500 a month because you're paying 2 people to do the work for you, the work that you would have done for yourself. Now, you'll say, oh, that's not enough money. But what do you mean? If the work that you were doing that would have brought you in $3,000 by yourself, you're able to pay 2 other people $1,500 a month to get it done, you can get twice as much work done. So if one person's workload would have brought you in $3,000 and now you got 2 people performing that work performing the same quantity of workload, now you can have a $6,000 revolving door come in, and outside of the overhead, which you're going to take 50% out of, you would get $1,500. The business would get $1,500. Each one of your employees would get $1,500, but you've got two people bringing in $6,000 a month. And out of that, you're basically getting administrative pay to do the paperwork and advertise and lock in more customers. And if you leave that work on the other guys, they're locking in the customers and you're just getting a cut. So yeah, it's always good. And that's why I tell you guys, I want y'all to look into some of this stuff because it will help you expand what you're trying to accomplish. Now, hopefully I'm able to fix whatever is going on right now with today, because I have not had the opportunity to do what I needed to do with this computer because I have been backlogged. And I know that I've been saying for the longest period of time that I need to buy me a new computer, but I don't want to waste $3,000 right now on buying a new computer. I really want to get things situated to make sure that everything pays for itself before we start diving into paying for computers. So just bear with us because we got a lot more stuff for you. What I'm going to start off by doing now is saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. Ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I provide you guys with this information to make yourselves higher value men. So all you have to do is pay attention to the things in your life that you do not like, that you are in direct control of changing, and you put forth the effort to make those changes so that you can improve your life for the better. Then navigate around things that you don't have control to change. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can take the information that I give y'all to make yourselves higher value women. You have to plan your 20 years. You have to figure out where your stopping point is, and then you have to proactively put forth the effort to achieve your goals on your own. Now, difference is that you're going to be able to find a partner with the same mentality that you have, and then by partnering with that person and cooperating with that person, you guys can tackle these goals a lot faster. Two people can come together and make it to $1 million faster than one person doing it by themselves. A good relationship, you guys can become a millionaire inside of 10 years, where if you were doing this by yourself, you might be able to make it there in 20. So when people start asking, what is the best part about getting married? Well, if my partner's goal is to make me a millionaire and my goal is to make her a millionaire, getting married to a person that's going to save me $97,000 worth of taxation between the two of us, we can really double down on our abilities to make ourselves financially successful. But if she's here for entertainment and you're looking for companionship and you're renting her for her presence, she's benefiting from you, you're not benefiting from her, and now your dream of being a millionaire has been stagnated by the relationship that is taking 41% of your income for her entertainment and her needs. So you got to make changes that benefit you. Now, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I should see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. It's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.